Hey everybody, Dan Shinder here on Drum Talk TV live if you're watching it live, or archived if you're watching it archived. And I'm at Drum Talk TV headquarters in Globe, Arizona, tiny mountain town 100 miles east of Phoenix up in the mountains. And my guest today, René Barthen, is in the Netherlands. And what we're going to talk about today is something I bet most, if not all of you, can relate to. And that is how playing music, and drumming in particular in our case, has helped us all through some challenging times throughout life and some bumps in the road. First of all, René, welcome. Thank you for taking time, your evening on a Saturday night, away from your family and away from partying, to do this. How are you?
I'm fine, Dan. Thanks for asking. First of all, I'm going to try to speak English. What's the best is in my power. So I think we're going to laugh a few times later in this interview, but I do my best.
Yeah, you're fine. And everybody who's watching, let us know where you are watching from. And in the comments, feel free to share your challenge in life story and how playing drums or whatever other instrument you play helped you get through it. Because I've heard all kinds of stories. I remember about 5 years ago on Drum Talk TV, I created this meme, and it's a picture, we still use it. It's a picture of a young lady playing the drums in a forest. And it says, have drums ever helped you get through hard times? And I couldn't believe all the stories we got. You know, I got divorced, my wife left, and she took the kids, she took the house, she took the Cadillac, and the mailman. So I've heard all kinds of stories. René, you have related to me that you had a challenging time in life for about 4 years, and that getting back to drumming has really helped you through it. Share the story of the sort of collapse and rise back up with the help of drumming as therapy.
I will share it with the whole wide world. It's not a secret, but to tell somebody how things are really were going in your life, sometimes it's difficult. You have youngsters, you have grown-ups, and older people. I'm going to tell something about my life in a short time. Otherwise, we have use hours and hours. But when I was young, I lost my older brother when I was 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And and then after that, my mother totally collapsed. The marriage between my father and mother was not really good, so they divorced. And I've got a really tough time. My mother's brother, Andre was a professional drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I saw his drumsticks, and that was some kind of magnet, some magic, I don't know. So I grabbed his sticks, and I fell in love with those sticks, and then move on, playing in the marching bands, learn rudiments, and my life goes on. And started with my first band, the Bootlegs. We are still exist at 37 years. It's a very long time.
Yeah, it is.
And they, the music and drums is always the red, I don't know really how to say it, but thing in my life to keep me up.
Yeah.
After so many years, I had to pay the bill, like I said.
Right.
Everything goes wrong, and I lost control about my life. And I've been in rehab because I want to quit my life. Mm-hmm. And even the music and the drums could not help me anymore. Because you can imagine how difficult and how sick I was in my brains.
Right, and that lasted about 4 years, right?
Yeah, that was 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago.
But how long did that period last?
Sorry?
How long did that period last?
Well, a few years, because when I get out of the rehab, I'm still using medication, and I've got a how you call it, a fear and panic distortion.
Mm-hmm.
And to move on, I need medication. But I lose control about the drums, about myself. And in my head, I already say goodbye to the drums and music.
Right.
But one day, and that was when I came out of the rehab, I was at home and I look at here in my wall of fame, and I'm here hanging around a lot of very interesting drummers who means a lot to me.
Right.
And then I thought, I have to come back, and I don't know how. So what I did then is to grab my sticks, and I just play on my knee first, and that's the way it started. And well, when you have your driver's license, you can always drive the car. So when you learn the drums, like I have learned from many teachers, I was already sitting back on the drums, and with one of my best friends, his name is Mark Bornemann. He's my guide in music, my guitar player in my band Superfly. And this guy and also the other guys brought me back in control, playing with dynamic and tempos, and I've been stronger than ever.
Let me ask you this. How would you describe the shift in your mind and in your well-being that you felt change the more you started playing drums again?
Sometimes it's quite busy and in your head with yes or no's. And
right.
The time when you grab your sticks, then I put headphones on my head, and then I was dreaming and drifting away that I was the drummer of Level 42, of Toto, of Chicago, Golden Earring, Incognito, you name it. And I don't know, that feeling that you are the drummer of a band. I know drummers have that feeling. You're the guy sitting with your drum. You're the groove machine.
Right.
So
a heartbeat.
That makes it really powerful. And also, of course, to the lady drummers out there, they're really upcoming, and I love that. And we have a special thing in ourselves, especially the fantastic drummers. They are born in another universe, I think. But we are totally different people than guitar players, perhaps. Totally different.
I agree.
When you put 100 drummers in one room, the atmosphere and the vibe is fantastic.
Yeah. It's definitely different than 100 guitar players in a room. Yeah, nothing against guitar players.
Yeah, but okay, I know Mark Bornemann, you're a fantastic guitar player. No, but listen, then when you put 100 guitar players in one room, they're gonna fight. No, but there's totally another atmosphere, a vibe in a room than with drummers. Really.
Yeah.
It's always. When I see on my Facebook or I speak so many drummers, we always come together, and sometimes when I do this, we have a bond.
Yeah.
And I know drummers, and they're really my friends for decades, really.
Yeah.
But back to get me out of the problems, the music. I approach music so much different than before I've been to my rehab. I listen more to the lyrics, looking really good what drummers do and did, because some of them are passed away.
Right.
And yeah, and then you mixed it with something of yourself, and then you have René Barthen.
Yeah.
And that counts. I'm not always focused on one type of drummer or one type of music, and I respect so many drummers. There are a lot of underdog. I call them musicians and
Yeah.
also drummers.
Yes.
Holland is a very small country,
Hmm.
and and well, the drummer scene, we know almost each other, really. And I told you I've been for 27 years in the drum industry in the Benelux for several brands. So also these brands, when I've been in rehab, they never let me down. They were all there, and I'm really honored to that they believed in me, and they always stay with me, and that means a lot to me, really.
Yeah. After all the years of playing, since you were young, since you first picked up those sticks at like 6 years old, and through all the years, and then going through, that challenging time you had, and then picking up the drums again, using that as therapy to help, rise back out of that. Do you still get that same feeling of when you used to play when you were younger?
Definitely. When I was young, in my youth, I really have problems with algebra and reading, writing.
Mm-hmm.
The drums. When I get my first book with music drum notes, I totally panic and collapse. And then but I want to play the drums.
Yeah.
So I still have contact with my first teacher, and his name is Fred.
Mm-hmm.
I think watching as well, Fred Cohen. And he learned more like an autodidact. I don't know the real word, but really in your head. And that is always the way and the path that I followed until today. Of course, sometimes when I'm playing in studio, I have to know where the bridge is coming, where to stop, where the intro, the outro, and go on and on and on.
Right.
So it's very nice to work with your brains, because when you play drums, everybody knows it. Your breathing goes different.
Yeah.
Your mind gonna be clearly. When you are sad and you play the drums, you can feel it. When you're mad, you can play a loud song and give all the energy you got. So your total t-shirt is sweating, it's wet, and you need a new one. And sometimes when you feel very sad, play a little sad song.
Yeah.
And after that gives you so much the fantastic energy for a human being to move on in life. And I know I try it with older people. I tried it with older people, and music. They sometimes cry, and a lot of things coming out from the past, and you can rid of it. You make an empty box in your brains, in your life, in your heart to move on, especially when you're young. And this is really important to under the days.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I want to look at the comments real quickly. And for those of you who may be joining us late, what we're talking about with René Barthen is, has music helped you through challenging times? And I'll give a quick story of mine in just a moment. But let's see. I think I saw a question. Oh, and we do have some people chiming in. Hello from Journey. Hello from Netherlands. I see someone in Italy. I see, hey, Don Garrett, thanks for joining. Don Garrett, if I remember right, is in Washington. And of course, our associate producer, Gil Cervantes, is in Monterrey, Mexico. Renato, how are you? So here's a question. Nick VM says, René, what's the meaning of 6 for you? Is it
I
something
know.
you can answer on a family show? Okay,
Yeah.
just check.
Yes, I can. I know, Nick. And um, the number 668 is my favorite.
Oh, okay, cool. That's your favorite time
Play.
signature to play in?
Yeah.
Oh, cool, nice.
Um, and then we have an engine, a 6-cylinder engine, and it goes on and on and on. And,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, it's a little bit funny and a joke. And then we say 6, René 6, and then that means it's okay. It's
Yeah, it
fantastic.
just brings everything together.
Yeah.
Cool. You know, I think that every musician watching and I don't know, for some reason I hear this more from drummers about drumming being therapy, and maybe it's just because I'm a little bit more connected to drummers, although I know musicians of all types, but we can all relate to playing getting us through hard times. And there was a period in my life about 20 years ago or before 20 years ago where I didn't play for a while, and I I got divorced from one of my marriages, the only one that I didn't have kids with. And it was bad because at the time I had a cooking show on TV. And when I started going through this separation, the divorce, it just sort of pulled the rug out from everything. I just didn't feel like carrying on with the show. So I stopped, and it played in reruns for like another 6 months or a year, something like that. But it was after that that I kind of picked up the pieces, and later on got in another relationship with Enja, my wife now, and
Your
turned.
beautiful wife.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank
I
you.
can tell you
Thank you very
to
much.
all the world. You
Yeah,
have a good taste, Dan.
thanks. And what I did was I finally set up like a studio we had a 3-car garage with a really high ceiling. So I set up a really nice studio there and started playing again. And the euphoria of when I used to play and used to play live and used to tour, used to do session work and produce and all those things, just came together all at once. And since then, I can relate more than ever that just drumming is such therapy. A lot of times when you folks see me play on Drum Talk TV, sometimes when I start that almost daily vlog show, I don't know what I'm going to play. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes I know exactly what I'm going to play and exactly what I'm going to talk about. And either way, it all feels just as good. And even though I'm not recording anymore or touring anymore, just playing during our vlog that we do on Drum Talk TV, or when I go down I say down because the studio's downstairs from here. When I go down to the studio and play just for my own enjoyment, it's great. I mean, I love it as much as I've ever loved it, whether I'm playing for 2 or 200 or 2,000 people or whatever. To me, it's all the same. And again, you folks that are watching, whether it's live or on the archive, please feel free to share your story of a challenging time that playing drums helped get you through. And while you do that, I'm going to ask René some musical questions. René, what is some of your favorite music to play? And what is some of your favorite music to listen to? Now, for some people, it's exactly the same. For some people, it's different. That's why I ask it both ways. And it's spring here, and my nose is starting to get affected by all the flowers starting to bloom. Wonderful.
Well, honestly, when I started with my first band, I've got here a picture. I show you. It's called the Bootlegs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see it. Yeah.
And I was 13 years old. That was my first gig ever. On that time, we played only Rolling Stones music and Beatle music.
Oh.
And but after a while, yeah, because my uncle was he loved music, and he was a major fan, a massive fan of Chicago. So I listened all the old records and old songs of Chicago, and then now I have to think back of Danny Serpentine and Tristan and Bodum, and totally different drummers, another approach. But yeah, in the old days, we have no internet. We have only an audio cassette.
Yeah, that's right. And
And,
records.
we have our teacher, and then we go to a concert, and you can see what the drummer did, and you try to play what he plays. So, and now
Right.
we got all the tools like YouTube and Instagram, and so people are getting when they are younger, they are in a faster time a better drummer than the old drummers like we are. And but back to my music taste of music, I never focused on one type of music
That's great.
because I was always challenged myself to play in different styles. First, it started with rock and roll, and then pop, and then the band from England, Level 42. I'm a massive Level head. That's the really bands. And yeah, I've got here, wow, I can show you the first drummer of Level 42. That's Phil Gould.
Oh, yeah, Phil.
Phil, and the classic Phil. Then, well, I've got here his stick, where it is, and that is Mr. Gary Husband.
Oh, yeah.
The second drummer.
Sure.
There was one drummer for a very short time, but I don't know his name. And the last drummer is really, it started on Facebook as a Facebook friend, and that is the fantastic Pete Ray Biggin.
Yeah.
And this is our latest photo, and this is the nice thing. He played with Level 42 in my hometown